Hello, and welcome to the Wavecast. Today we'll be talking about moving schools and the experiences of people who have done so, along with those who haven't. My name is Aaron Converse, and I'm here with Annabelle Frazer and Emma Nash. Let's get rolling.
Hi, I'm Annabelle, and I am the editor-in-chief of The Wave, and I have grown up here my entire life. I've gone to school here from Tommy Barfield Elementary School all the way up until high school here on Marco Island Academy.
And my name is Emma Nash. I grew up in Marco Island, and I went to school here for my elementary and middle school. And I recently just moved off the island about 2 years ago, and I went to a high school called Lely, and I went there until my junior year, and I came back to Marco Island Academy.
My name is Aaron. I recently moved to Marco for my senior year from Freeport, Maine, and today we're going to be talking about moving schools and stuff like that.
Yeah, we are. So how would you guys describe your hometown and, your hometown and your old schools in just a few sentences?
I feel like that's more for me because your hometown is based.
Yeah.
Emma's hometown is the same. Yeah. So my hometown was it was kind of similar to Marco in a couple ways in that it was very like touristy because it was right in the ocean just like Marco is, except it was just like in Maine, so it was way colder. But it was still just like touristy. There was like always new people from different places coming in and like going to like shops or whatever. So it was similar to Marco in the way that it was like not like you couldn't blatantly see like a tight-knit community unless you like actually looked into it, because like there is a community of people who live on Marco, but if you like come here in the winter or whatever, you're just gonna see like a bunch of random people that like don't really know each other, I feel like.
That's interesting.
I know, because we have been like it's the same deal here on Marco. I feel like, it's a smaller town, and more so on Marco than I'd say where you're describing where you're from. You can see one huge tight-knit community because, like us, everyone has grown up here for so long, and they've all went through adjustments together. They've all really just developed who they are together. So, I mean, do you feel like, more so you, Aaron, do you feel like where you went to school affected your upbringing at all?
Yeah, I definitely think I do. I think there's a lot of just differences in like bigger differences in like culture than you would think between us, like the same country or whatever. It's just like the top and the bottom, basically north and south. So I just feel like I grew up around a certain groups of people that I was like very normal, and I think this is our second take at this, and I'm going to say last time I talked about the way I dress. I feel like I dress differently than everybody else here, which is weird because I felt like I dressed exactly like everyone else did in Maine. So I felt like this is just the clothes that I have that I brought. I didn't think I was making like a statement or anything, and now I feel like I dress differently than like every other person here. I feel weird.
Have you guys had any prior experience to moving, not just schools, but even moving locations prior to this move?
Not really. I mean, I've moved multiple times in like houses, but that's as far as I've gone. And moving from Lely to MIA was a hard transition, I feel like. But that's like the biggest move I've experienced so far. So,
what about you?
Before this, I moved 3 or 4 times, but all in the same town. So I was born in Massachusetts, but I moved from there when I was like 7 months old, so I don't really remember much of it. And apart from that, I moved in my town, Freeport, Maine. I moved like 3 or 4 times just to different houses because we rented out. My mom's a realtor, so we rented out our house in Maine because we wanted, he was always looking for like new houses and stuff. So we moved around the town a lot. But other than that, I was always in like the same school system until now.
Did you guys, did you plan to switch schools, or was it unexpected?
Mine was a little bit of both. I feel it was around like February of last year. I kind of just I kind of feel like I needed a change, and I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go. I applied to other high schools in like Naples area, and it felt like the best option to come to MIA. So it was freshman year I could have said I'd stay at Lely my entire 4 years. Like I couldn't have pictured moving. But it just happened kind of so abruptly. So,
I I kind of had an opposite deal of you because originally, I don't know, I was going through a phase when I was in like my sophomore year of high school. And I was like, I just want to try new things and I want to, you know, try and get out and meet new people. So I wanted to switch to Laylee actually. And it wasn't until Scalio, like, he was like, he sat me down, he had a conversation. He was like, listen, what do you think you're going to get at Laylee that you're not going to be able to get at MIA? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know. They have a marching band. And he was like, okay, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So ultimately, he did leave it up to me. But looking back at it, if I had switched to Laylee, I would not be where I am right now, literally, metaphorically.
I feel like you'd be so different.
I would too, and that's the thing. Like, you don't realize how far you're gonna change in a situation until you're placed into that situation.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So, like, you moving, you might just, I don't know, do you feel like you've changed at all since you came here?
I feel like I'm more myself in a way. Like,
Really?
I feel like I can be who I am and, like, meet new people and, like, give them the most authentic version of myself.
Mm.
So that's, like,
It's good.
I
What
feel,
about...
Yeah. I feel the same way about that. I think mine's even to, like, a more extreme degree because, like, I didn't know anyone here at all. Like, not a single person except for, like, some old people that live next to me that that are from Maine, too.
Yeah.
So I moved down and I was like, okay, I can kind of be whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like, whatever I want, however I want to present myself, that's the way I can present myself when I get down here. And, like, I had a conversation with some friends before I left, and I was like, I could move, and I could go by a completely different name, and nobody would know. I could just, like, change my name on Instagram, and then people would just call me that. Like, I could go by Will. My middle name is William. I could have went by Will, and no one would have thought anything about it. Like, it's just completely, I could have completely changed everything about myself. I could have been a completely different person. I mean, I don't think I did, but I do feel like I can be, like, more authentic, because it's like, when you grow up with a certain group of people, you, like, everyone has their opinion of you from, like, you know, they met you when you were, like, 7 years old, and then they grow up with you, and they, like, know everything that you've done in school or whatever. So they have, like, their opinion of you. And when you meet a bunch of new people, you can kind of form that first opinion, like, whatever way you want, and there's not, like, a set in stone, like, who you are and how everybody knows you, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's freeing in a way, too, because you don't have to rely on, you know, your old perception of you, because... As we know in high schoolers love to hold grudges, and that's not something that's, you know, hidden. But you know the stereotype of, like, homeschool kids and how homeschool kids are often weird. Do you think that I'm going somewhere with this? Don't worry. Do you think that there's a, like, parallel to that almost, where how do you feel like if you move around and you're not in a stationary setting for your entire schooling experience? Do you think that changes you as a person?
I think every time you, like, go to a new place or a new school, there's a certain level of intrigue with people where they're just like, I mean, if you're, like, a new kid, everyone's like, oh, they want to get to know you at least a little bit to, like, know if, like, you're someone they would want to be, like, friends with or whatever. So I feel like, at my old school, when there would be new people coming in, you would always be like, yo, you should come sit with us, or you should come, like, hang out with us for a bit. And then if you liked them, they would become your friend. If you didn't, then you would just stop doing that and you would stop hanging out. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like there's, like, an entry level of intrigue that everyone has about you when you're first coming to a new place. So it's like, and that's when you have the opportunity to make those first impressions. And people are like, hey, they're giving you an opportunity. Like, hey, come over here, make this first impression for me, and I'll see if I like you or not, basically. Yeah.
And then, I mean, Emma, I guess you can attest to this too. When you're kind of in the same place, whether that be a city or a school, your entire time, and you don't have the opportunity to kind of reinvent yourself like you would if you, like, made such a drastic transition like you had, Aaron, it's a little different because the perceptions that people have of you, that they've always had of you, they kind of stick.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you were, like, a kid who was a little weird in middle school, so to speak, they kind of, that sort of sticks around. So you don't, you have to either try harder to kind of break that. Like,
I think right now, because I knew people that are now, like, seniors, like you guys. I knew them in, like, middle school, and then I went away for 2 years, and then all of a sudden I'm back, and it's like, do people remember, like, the 7th grade version of me?
I hope not.
I really hope not. But, like, now I'm trying, like, whenever I'm, like, involved in, like, conversations with those people, I try to, like, give them like what I am now and like who I am now, and that's it's kind of scary in a way to like hope that they don't think of me as like someone that's the same, but
because that's like a totally different experience from the one I had, because you're making a relationship with people and then putting that aside for like a couple years, and then you're coming back to it, and then you have to navigate like, what was my relationship with this person before, what is my relationship with them now, and like how have I changed in between this time, how have they changed, you know what I mean? I feel like that's the difference between my situation and your situation, is you had like a whole different set of issues with like people that you once knew that you like don't know anymore, and I was just meeting completely new people, you know what I mean?
And how have you guys been dealing with that? Like, has it been an adjustment? Or I know previously you talked about, Aaron, you were like, I thought it was going to be so much harder than it actually was.
Yeah, I thought, like, I don't know. I think there's so many. I came from a much bigger school than MIA. It was like, instead of 300 people in the entire school, it was like 350 people per grade or something like that. So I kind of like didn't realize how much I was basically starting new relationships every school year anyways, because I would be put into a class and I would be sitting next to someone that I'd like barely ever talked to before, and that would have to end up being like my friend in that class or whatever, because you know that's how it works, where you sit next to someone and you end up being like friends with them, or just because of that in that class. So it was like less of a like completely different experience for me than I thought it was going to be, because I feel like I was meeting new people every year anyways. So it was just like, the only difference was I didn't have that basis of like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with my friends tonight, you know what I mean? I would just like like the first 3 weeks I would just like go home and I would just sit down and be like, oh, now what do I do? School felt like not that different, but now I'm just kind of here on an island.
I know. And it's also, even just for the students who, like, I guess, for example, when a new student comes, as much as the new student themselves are feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out how to branch out to people, and I need to figure out who I want to, surround myself with. I feel like we, as students who have been here, kind of have the responsibility of, it's our responsibility in a way, I guess, to kind of put ourselves out there to them as well. So that also, even just for the students who, like, I guess, for example, when a new student comes, as much as the new student themselves are feeling like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out how to branch out to people, and I need to figure out who I want to, surround myself with. I feel like we, as students who have been here, kind of have the responsibility of, it's our responsibility in a way, I guess, to kind of put ourselves out there to them as well. So that responsibility on our part to make the new students feel as welcome as possible, because it is such a rapid adjustment. No matter where you're switching from, whether you're switching from a whole different state or even just from a new school, there is still that, feeling of, oh my gosh, am I going to fit in? Are people going to like me? Whatnot. So it is, even on our behalf, I feel like it is our responsibility to try to put ourselves out there to everyone. So it does go both ways. And it's kind of everyone's, deal.
A good, there's a lot of like activities and stuff with school, and I think that's like the best way that I've found to like, because like I feel like it's hard for people, even the people who have like been here forever, to like immediately be like, oh, you should come hang out with us or whatever, like outside of school. Like it's easy to do that in a class or whatever, but it gets harder when it's like you have a routine, you have certain people that you're always hanging out with, and it's hard to like push someone new into that. So I feel like a good way for me has been just like activities and stuff. Like I started going to the gym, and then I started like hanging out with people that were at the gym, and then I started playing golf, and I like met some people through playing golf. So it's just like you kind of whoa, where'd I go? Okay, I'm back. You kind of like you branch out naturally just by like doing activities and stuff around the school, and that kind of helps you connect like with new people.
Like,
I think
if I could like give anyone, like even if you're in Aaron's situation or even in mine, like I would probably just advise you and like tell you to just like join clubs and like hang out, like join sports and stuff. Like it's gonna help you a lot more than you think you are, than you think it is. I've joined 4 clubs and I wasn't in any lately, and I've met so many new people, and it's like it's just you feel so much more comfortable like in that environment if you just join. Like
Absolutely.
So
I think it's just like anytime you can have people outside of like a school environment it makes it easier to like be friends with people. You know what I mean? Because if you know someone and the only time you see them is like within a class, it kind of feels like you're just like
Surface level.
you're
Yeah.
both you're both just like
Yeah.
sitting through a lesson. You both have to
Yeah.
be there. You're not
Yeah.
choosing to be there. Whereas it like I feel like just like the psyche changes when you're out doing
Yeah.
something else, like anything else, like a sport or like a club or whatever.
So, what is something that I, as a stationary student, and anyone else as a stationary student, would not easily understand about switching schools? Like a stereotype, because there's stereotypes, obviously. So, are those like true, or is there anything new that we wouldn't know?
Like new student stereotypes? Or
Yeah. Because you see it in the movies where like they get there and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to eat lunch in the bathroom
Yeah.
or something like that.
I feel like not at like to an extreme degree, but I feel like there is some sort of like part where you are kind of going into it like kind of blind, I feel like.
Yeah.
And even if you know people, you're not at that connection level yet when people have been going to school with each other for the past 4 years in high school. So I feel like in a way the stereotype of like being sad and like being alone as a new student and being like,
Yeah.
I definitely feel like it's a thing. I didn't experience it on that type of degree just because I like made myself branch out and like at least try, and if it failed then oh well. But
It's funny that you mentioned the lunch thing, because I think that's the hardest, the worst part about the first like 4 days
Yeah.
of school. I thought was gonna be lunch,
Oh.
because I wouldn't know where to sit, because that's where you see all the groups of like people that have already been friends, where they're all sitting together.
Yeah.
But instead of having lunch for the first like week and a half, we had indoor lunch where you just stayed in your classes.
Yeah.
So then I just sat with the people that were in my classes. So when we went out to outdoor lunch, I just sat with them anyways.
Yeah.
So I don't. But like, I just sit with the people that I sat with in those indoor lunches, and that's pretty much it. That's just who I sit with
Yeah.
now. I just like followed the people that I was with, and I just sat down next to them because it
Yeah.
felt natural because we already been eating lunch together. So I was like, okay, that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Because like if not, I would have just been like,
hey guys,
walking around looking for anyone that I've ever had a conversation with, and just
Yeah.
sat down.
And that's kind of how it was for me too every year, because well, you know, we have a different schedule. We have lunch A and lunch B. And it's not like, oh, all the seniors are lunch B and then like, you know, the underclassmen are lunch A.
That's how it should be.
That's how it should be. I agree. Critique.
Take notes.
But it's kind of, I was wondering, even in my senior year, I was like, oh my gosh, who am I going to sit with? Like, am I going to be like, what? Because you don't know until you get there, like literally. Unless you have friends that like, you know, show you their schedule. You're walking in blind. And you're just like, oh, I had a conversation with her like a year ago. Yeah. Why not? Hello.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting though, because lunch is like the place. I don't know why somehow we're talking about lunch.
It's important.
But lunch is, you were right, Aaron, it is the position, it's the place where you see all those like
Groups.
we don't really have cliques at the school, but
Yeah, but like friend groups.
Yeah.
People sit with their friends, and
Yeah.
it's more intimidating to break into that than it is to like sit at a table
Yeah.
group with someone in a class, because you're never gonna have a class where like an entire friend group is gonna be sitting at one table. You know what I mean? It might be like a mix of people that are like they're all friends, but it's not gonna be like these are like the 6 people and they always hang out after school, and then you have to go sit and like try to break into that group. It's where lunch you're gonna find the people who are always gonna sit next to the people that they're the most comfortable with, and then if you're uncomfortable around those people, it's just gonna be weird. Yeah.
So what is the one thing, if you could think of one thing, what is one thing that you would take in regard to your future about your experience between schools?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is just like meet new people and like branch out and like talk to new people, because my biggest like fear, I guess, when I left was like I'm not gonna meet people that I like, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna like meet people that I want to hang out with. And then I got here and I was like, oh, okay. It just made me realize that there's so many people in the world. Everywhere you go, there's gonna be people that like you enjoy being around. So you just have to branch out and try to find people. Because if you come into a new situation completely shut off, you're not gonna let yourself like be open to meeting the new people who like. You might meet someone who's like gonna be like your best friend forever or whatever. Or, like you might meet someone who's like the most like perfect person for you to hang out with, but you don't know that until you like reach out and talk to people.
Yeah.
Mine, I mean, I agree with everything you said. Mine is probably just like don't don't be afraid because you don't know. You don't know the unknown.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big part of, like, coming here is I was scared that, yeah, people knew me, but, like, were they going to like me and would I have any friends at all? And there was a moment in, like, June where I was like, okay, I put everything in. Like, I'm ready to come in August. Is there any chance I can back out? Like, I was,
Really?
there was a point where I was like, you know what? I'm actually just going to stay and I'm not going to come. And that's going to be the end of that. So, I don't know. Probably just in the future, don't be afraid because I like who I am and I like where I am so much more than I liked myself last year and where I was last year. So
Good. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and we hope to see you soon.